say power isolates you, that the higher you climb, the more enemies you collect like shadows at sunset. Victoria Chen knew this better than most. At 34, she'd built a tech empire worth $47 billion. But tonight, as her armored SUV cut through Manhattan's rain-slicked streets, she wasn't thinking about stock prices or board meetings. She was thinking about the encrypted message that had arrived on her phone 3 hours ago. 5 words, no signature. They know about Geneva. In the driver's seat, Marcus Drake's eyes never stopped moving. Rearview mirror, side streets, rooftops. 20 years in special forces had made paranoia his religion, and protecting Victoria Chen was his penance. He'd been assigned to her detail 8 months ago after the incident in Tokyo, the one the media never heard about, the one where someone had gotten close enough to slip a note into her coat pocket during a charity auction. Close enough to kill. "We're 3 minutes behind schedule," Marcus said, his voice carrying that military precision that made every statement sound like a tactical briefing. "The penthouse is clear, but I don't like the timing of that message, Miss Chen." Victoria stepped out of the SUV, her Valentino heels clicking against concrete. "You never like anything, Drake. That's why I keep you around." "That, and I'm devastatingly handsome," he replied, scanning the underground garage with predatory focus. Despite everything, Victoria smiled. It was the kind of dark humor you developed when someone was paid 6 figures annually to take a bullet for you. The elevator climbed 73 floors in practiced silence. Victoria watched Marcus in the polished steel reflection. 6'3", built like violence compressed into an expensive suit. A scar traced his left jaw, souvenir from Kandahar. "Talk to me about Geneva," Marcus said suddenly. Victoria's expression didn't change, but her pulse quickened. "Excuse me," the message mentioned Geneva. "That's not random. You spent 4 days there last year, off your official schedule. No security detail. I pulled the records when I took this assignment. You've been investigating me." Her voice could have frozen hydrogen. "Been protecting you," Marcus corrected, stepping out first as the elevator opened, hand near his concealed weapon. "There's a difference. When my principal goes dark for 96 hours in a city famous for banking secrets and international espionage, I notice." Penthouse sprawled before them, floor-to-ceiling windows framing the Manhattan skyline like a crown of light. Victoria's kingdom, her fortress, her cage. She poured herself a scotch, Macallan 50 years old, worth more than most people earned annually. Didn't offer one to Marcus. He wouldn't accept it anyway. "In Geneva," she began, her back to him, watching lightning paint the clouds silver, "I met someone who had information about my company's AI development, information that shouldn't exist outside our classified servers. They said my CTO was selling our facial recognition algorithms to authoritarian governments, regimes that disappear journalists, torture dissidents." Marcus's hand moved fractionally closer to his weapon. "A blackmailer, whistleblower," Victoria corrected. "Or so they claimed. They had documentation, email chains, server logs. They said our software was being used to identify protesters in Hong Kong, track dissidents in Saudi Arabia, monitor ethnic minorities in China. It true, The question hung between them like a blade. Victoria turned, and Marcus saw something in her expression he'd never witnessed before. Vulnerability. Fear. "I don't know," she whispered. "I buried it. Paid the whistleblower $3 million to disappear. Conducted my own investigation. Found nothing conclusive. Convinced myself it was corporate espionage. But what if it wasn't? What if I've spent 8 months helping build a surveillance apparatus used to hunt people? What if that message tonight means someone's coming for payment or revenge?" Her phone buzzed, sharp and insistent. Another message. Same encrypted channel. Marcus crossed the room in 3 strides, reading over her shoulder. The roof. "Midnight. Come alone, or the evidence goes public." Marcus checked his watch. 11:47. "It's a trap, obviously," Victoria said, already moving toward her office, pulling up security camera feeds. "The question is a trap for me, or for whoever's trying to expose what I've done. Does it matter?" Marcus followed her, tactical mind already running scenarios. "Either way, you're not going up there. You think I became a billionaire by hiding when things got difficult." Victoria's voice was steel. "Someone wants to meet, so we meet." Marcus pulled his secondary weapon, a compact Glock 43, untraceable, loaded with subsonic rounds. He handed it to her. "You know how to use this? I've built companies in 14 countries, Drake. Some of them don't settle business disputes with lawyers." She checked the magazine with practiced movements that surprised him. His eyes met hers, and something shifted. Professional distance eroding. "If this goes wrong, it won't," she interrupted. "Because you're the best. I've read your file. Bosnia. Syria. That operation in Caracas that officially never happened. You've survived worse than a corporate shakedown on a Manhattan rooftop. Those were soldiers, terrorists, people who operate by predictable rules," Marcus said quietly. "Whoever sent those messages is different. They know your patterns, your secrets. They've been watching long enough to understand what leverage hurts most." Elevator climbed to roof access. Marcus went first, weapon drawn, moving with fluid efficiency. Victoria followed, rain soaking through her jacket in seconds. "There," Marcus said, gesturing toward the far edge where a figure stood silhouetted against the skyline. They approached together, Marcus slightly ahead, creating a human shield. The figure turned. It was a woman. Late 50s, gray-streaked hair pulled back severely, wearing a raincoat that had seen better decades. But her eyes were sharp, calculating, familiar. "Hello, Victoria," she said. "You probably don't remember me. I was your ethics professor at MIT, Dr. Sarah Kimura. You sat front row, always asked the hardest questions about moral responsibility in technological development." Victoria's world tilted. "Professor Kimura, what is this?" "This is your final exam," the professor said. 20 years ago, I taught you about the social contract, about power and accountability. You got an A+. Perfect papers about duty and consequence. Then you went out and built an empire on surveillance technology sold to the highest bidders. Marcus's weapon stayed steady. This wasn't standard blackmail. This was personal, ideological, more dangerous than simple greed. "You have evidence," Victoria said flatly. "Have a warehouse full of evidence," Professor Kimura replied. "Documentation of every sale, every deployment, every disappeared activist tracked using your algorithms. Your CTO has been very cooperative. For the right price. Then why bring me here? Victoria's voice barely above a whisper. Why not just release everything? The professor smiled, infinitely sad. Because I wanted to give you a choice. You can buy this evidence. Pay whatever it takes to bury it. Continue building your empire on convenient ignorance. Or you can burn it all down yourself. Go public. Admit what your company enabled. Face actual consequences instead of philanthropic theater. Helicopter came out of nowhere. 1 second, the sky was empty. The next, a massive black shape descended, searchlights splitting the darkness. Down, Marcus roared, grabbing Victoria as bullets hit concrete. That's not yours. Professor Kimura's expression changed from certainty to terror. What helicopter? I didn't, it's them, Victoria breathed. The buyers. They know about the evidence. They're here to eliminate everyone who knows. Marcus returned fire, forcing the helicopter to bank away. Get to the stairwell, both of you. Move now. They crashed into the stairwell, Marcus bringing up the rear, reloading as he moved. 73 floors. They'll have the elevators cut. We go down on foot. Can't, Professor Kimura began. You don't have a choice. Victoria cut her off. Drake, how many? At least 4 in the helicopter. Professional kill team. Well funded. This isn't about money anymore. This is about elimination. They descended through emergency stairs, floor after floor, footsteps echoing. Above, doors crashed open. Their pursuers had entered the stairwell. At the 42nd floor, Marcus stopped them. Service corridor, he said, prying open a maintenance door. Old building like this, there's always another way. They navigated through dust and darkness, past humming pipes and buzzing electrical systems. They're systematic, Marcus whispered, clearing floor by floor. We have maybe 10 minutes. There's a service elevator, Victoria said suddenly. I toured the building during acquisition. It goes directly to the parking sublevel. Marcus looked at her. Soaked, bleeding, still thinking strategically. You're either brilliant or insane, my CEO, she replied. Same thing. Service elevator groaned to life, ancient machinery protesting. They descended into the building's depths. When we get out, Victoria said quietly. If we get out, I'm doing it. Going public, all of it. Marcus reloaded methodically. That's the adrenaline talking. Victoria met his eyes. That's the person I was supposed to be, before I convinced myself that profit and progress were the same thing. Elevator shuddered to a stop. Sublevel parking. Their escape route, or their tomb. Marcus positioned himself in front of both women. The doors opened, headlights blazed. Not one vehicle. 6. Forming a perimeter. They'd been expected. A figure stepped into the light. Tall, angular, wearing a suit that cost $10,000. Victoria recognized him instantly. Hello, Victoria, said her CTO, James Park. I believe you've been looking for answers. James. Victoria's voice carried executive authority despite 6 guns pointed at her. You've been selling our technology. Correction, James smiled. Everything you built. I simply found better markets. You wanted to change the world. I helped you, just not in the way your professor dreamed about. Professor Kimura stepped forward. You contacted me, said you wanted to expose the truth. I wanted to consolidate control, James corrected. Victoria was becoming problematic, starting to ask questions. So I created a situation where she'd be implicated, discredited or eliminated. Marcus's weapon never wavered. You're willing to kill someone you called a friend. For what? For $50 billion over 5 years, James replied. For being the person who provides tools that shape global power. Money is just how we keep score. This is about legacy. Police sirens cut through the tension. Growing louder. Those sirens aren't coincidence, Victoria said. Marcus's expression changed. You called them before we left the penthouse. Called the FBI, Victoria confirmed. The moment you sent that first threat, I forwarded everything. Every server log. Every suspicious transaction. I just needed you to show your hand. James's confidence flickered. You're bluffing. A billionaire who built an empire from a thesis, Victoria said coldly. I don't bluff, I calculate. And I calculated you'd make sure I was present when you tied up loose ends. The parking garage erupted. Federal agents, weapons drawn, commands echoing. James Park's team dropped their weapons. Marcus kept his weapon steady until a marshal approached. Stand down, Mr. Drake. With respect, Marcus replied. I'll stand down when Ms. Chen is safe. Marshal nodded. Professional respect. Hours later, Victoria sat in an FBI field office, giving her statement. Professor Kimura had been sent home. James Park was in custody. Marcus stood by the window, watching dawn break. You knew, he said finally. Before the rooftop. You suspected James. Victoria nodded. I ran analytics on access patterns. His fingerprint was everywhere. So I set up a scenario where he'd have to show himself. Using yourself as bait, Marcus's voice carried fury and admiration. Without telling me. If I'd told you, you would have stopped me. Yes, that's my job, Victoria crossed to him. You kept me alive when it mattered most. Lost principles before, Marcus said quietly. I don't ever want to write that letter about you. The raw honesty stopped her. Then don't call me Miss Chen. My name is Victoria. 3 months passed. The scandal evolved. Headlines, hearings. Then the slow fade. Victoria's company restructured. She'd survived, but one evening, watching sunset over Manhattan, Victoria wasn't thinking about earnings or testimony. She was thinking about Marcus, still scanning rooftops with habitual vigilance. Most bodyguards quit after gunfights and federal raids, she said. Marcus smiled. Most CEOs don't run toward danger. Figured you'd get bored with normal security. Normal anything, Victoria agreed. They stood together, watching night claim the city. 2 people bound by survival. Outside, 8 million stories played out. Inside, just 2 power isolates. But conscience connects. And sometimes the greatest protection isn't bulletproof glass or tactical planning. Sometimes it's simply refusing to face the darkness alone.